Storytelling. If you reflect from any industry, you realize that we are on this planet to acquire stories and to pass them on. Think about it. When you die and everyone goes to the funeral, what do you want them reading your CV? I know I don't want them going, Don Marinelli was born in Brooklyn. No, I don't want that. I want them to tell stories about me, and hopefully good stories. But the stories about when I encountered someone, when we did something, when something magnificent happened, when, like in any great story, the protagonist changes, undergoes a transformation. That's what I'm looking for. All ETC students learn that storytelling is a craft. The English spelling of playwright is the same spelling we use to describe someone who is a shipwright, a craftsman. All ETC learn the new poetics. In other words, storytelling is a craftsmanship comprised of the poetics of Aristotle: plot, character, theme, diction, rhythm, spectacle, and the poetics of something new, something called interactivity, which was defined by Janet Murray in her book Hamlet on the Holodeck. The poetics of interactivity are immersion, agency and navigation, and transformation. And every ETC student must learn climactic plot structure. Let's continue. To do this, they are introduced to a class called Visual Story. Visual Story is literally a degree in film compressed into one semester. They learn that images are the overwhelming way in which we tell stories today. And so it's really a visual medium. And there are the traditional use of visual imagery is in linear plot structure. If you go to a movie and watch it, it will always be the same. But if you play a game, or if you go to a massively multiplayer world, you have what is called non-linear narrative. You, the protagonist, decide where you're going to go in this world, when you're going to go in this world, and very often, how you're going to go. That is a new kind of plot structure, very similar to life, but it is not life. And so we have something that is similar to life, that is not life, for which we want there to be the same elements of drama that we encounter in linear storytelling. In the same token, every student in the Entertainment Technology Center takes improvisational acting, including the geeks. Oh, I'm a computer scientist. I'm a computer scientist. I don't do acting. You do now. Come on. The funny thing is, when Randy and I were starting the Entertainment Technology Center, we went out to Hollywood and Silicon Valley, and we asked the geniuses, what skills do you want the new hires to have? And we met with Ed Catmull. Ed Catmull is the president of Pixar. And Randy and I were there. And the funny story, because when we proposed a curriculum, I put improvisational acting down there because I just thought it made sense. It was nonlinear storytelling. And the geniuses were like, improvisational acting? Why do you want to put improvisational acting? Do you think it's the right move? To the point where I was like, well, I don't, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. We go out to Pixar. We meet with Ed Catmull. Ed Catmull is the technical guy. We say to Ed Catmull, Ed, is there any one skill set you would want these new hires to know? Without a millisecond, he goes, improvisational acting. I start kicking Randy under the table. I'm like, did you hear what he said? And I said, why? The fascinating thing is, his reason was completely different from mine. His reason was, it's an anti-ego experience. If you do improvisational acting, and you have to have the funny line, you have to have the punchline, everything dies. Improvisational acting works only if you are generous of spirit, only if you are willing to set up the other person for the punchline. And I thought, wow, that is brilliant. Because I wanted improvisational acting because it is the best example of non-linear storytelling that you can have. Everyone goes into improv thinking, I know what people are going to think, I know how they're going to react, and then people react completely differently. Completely differently. So when you go in there thinking, I can create a world that anyone can go into, I know if I establish these parameters, the user, the player will respond in these ways, and then the player shoots it all to hell. I think that's wonderful. So improvisational acting is a requirement of all of our students. So in doing so, in this boot camp, the emphasis is always on how does technology tell a story. You know how we do that? One of the projects, you're going to hear me talk about projects. The Carnegie Library came to us and said, can you develop a technology so that children who come to the library are not just checking out books, they're writing books. And I said, I don't know how to do that, but I know my students do. They created this thing called My Story Maker. Through My Story Maker, the children come to the library and they choose a character. They choose an object that the character either wants or has. They choose the backdrop, the scenery, and the settings. They will choose the verbs. What is the character doing? And when they get done, they will print out a book that they have written. Now we're talking about children, young children, who are using this technology to tell a story and then are getting the excitement of getting it physically in their hand, running home, saying, Grandma, Grandpa, I wrote a story for you. Here it is. It's a love of storytelling, but a love of actually writing as well. Magnificent. The students came up with that idea, not me. Now, why are we interested in stories? To pass time? You got nothing else to do? No, take a look at this slide. Why do we tell stories? Because stories are a teaching tool. What do they teach? They teach cause and effect understanding. That is the fundamental reasoning that human beings use to get through life. If I do this, this results. We teach stories because values, culture, myths, and the very process of socialization comes about through stories. Stories are examples of problem-solving techniques. I mean, it always strikes me as funny that people will yell, parents will yell at children for playing these games, when most games are really problem-solving. If they were sitting there doing math, nobody would have a problem. Because what are they doing? They're solving problems. What do you think they're doing in most video games? They're solving problems. Stories are how we encounter probabilistic reasoning. They are how we encounter what is called teleological reasoning. Teleological reasoning is reasoning through consequences. Gee, if I do these things, this will result. If I take these actions, this will result. It is also, a story is the compression and the manipulation of lives and living for the purpose of discerning meaning and wisdom. Architecture. Right now, architecture is the weakest link in the curricular change. When in actuality, architecture is world building. This is our world. Your campus is your world. So what we do instead is we create an environment that is dynamic. We focus on creating a themed environment where our students go. This is our building, okay? Not only is that our building, this is the entrance to our building. When you come into the entertainment, when the elevator doors open, most people think they've made a mistake. I must have gone to the wrong floor because this looks like a spaceship. Yeah, no, you're on the right floor. Welcome to our spaceship. Okay? Technology. We love to develop unique entertainment platforms. Our students have developed unique technologies. Animateering is a technology developed in the ETC. Synthetic interviews, which I'll get to. Open source game and animation engines. Improvements in distributed computing and advancements in animation and rendering have all come out of the ETC. Everything begins with games. We are big proponents of experimental gameplay. In other words, you have 1 week, build me a game. In the Building Virtual Worlds class, students must build 5 worlds in 15 weeks. And you must do that with 5 different teams. I mean, you have 2 weeks from, hello, my name is Don. I'm a programmer. I'm an artist. I'm a texture artist. I'm a rigger. I'm an animator. I'm a storyteller. I'm a writer. I'm a human-computer interaction wannabe. I'm a producer. You have 2 weeks before better be a world that I can enter, I can experience, I can critique, and you'd be surprised how quickly you will learn to work smart, fast, and innovatively.